A new dawn is upon us, and for the drivers at the TSRC, the PC GT3 series takes to season 4, the second of 2023. Season number 3 saw a fantastic display of racing, and well, we eagerly await season number 4. We start here at the home of British motorsport, the home of motor racing for some. Of course, it's Silverstone. Played host to fantastic racing for the sprint round of season number 3, and I'm sure it's going to be absolutely no different. 51 drivers registered for season number 4. 40 take to the field today, separated over the course of the Pro, Silvers, and the AM categories. Same as season number 4, we take to 6 brilliant circuits as well. We start, of course, here in Silverstone. We travel around the world. 3 races in the UK. Let's leave it at that. Okay, that says all we need to know about how good British circuits are. Of course, I'm not by myself this season in the commentary booth, similar to how it was for the second half of season number 3. My name, of course, is Zach Sweeney, but I've got Kelsey Gill alongside me in the commentary booth. And well, Kelsey, season number 4, here we go.
Yeah, season number 4. It's going to be great to be here for the full season. And yes, good evening, Zach, and good evening, everybody in the live chat joining us for a qualifying session. It's going to be one that's going to set us up for a season of what I'm hoping is going to be some thrilling racing. And we're starting off in such an amazing venue. Silverstone, of course. Absolutely love this track. It is one of the staple circuits in British motorsport. And of course, it is host to the Formula 1 British Grand Prix, which I'm overly familiar with. But yes, I'm excited, Zach. I'm excited to see all the drivers out on the grid. We've got 40 drivers, of course, and I'm hoping we get more and more as the events go along. And it's just exciting. There's been a huge update to the game as well, which could throw in some new surprises for everybody. Some physics overhauls, some new cars. It's all exciting stuff.
Really is. And to just touch more on the calendar as well, I have now managed to actually get it up so I can tell you a little bit. Obviously, we start here in Silverstone. In a week's time, we take to Kyalami for the first time, I think all the way back to the first ever round of the PC GT3 series. So the South African circuit will play host to round 2 in a week's time. Then we take to Spa for round number 3. Round 4 takes us to Alton Park, a brilliant circuit. That's our sprint. That's where we'll see 2 25-minute races with reverse grid, but we'll come to that in 3 weeks' time. Valencia is going to be an interesting one. I believe that's one of the newer circuits on Assetto Corsa. Obviously, there's been a recent overhaul in terms of a massive DLC, a massive update for the game. So, brilliant stuff. And then, May 25th, Donington Park. Brilliant stuff, brilliant racing. Obviously, when you go through Donington Park, GT3. In all fairness, Kelsey, I have to say that the calendar that we've got this I was about to say this year. It's not this year. It's this season. Over the course of the next 6 weeks. I have to say, I would rate it quite highly as one of the best yet.
Yeah, I think it's got some really interesting circuits on it. I think it's got everything you're going to want from a calendar of circuits, I think. And, you know, we visit the UK a few times in this circuit, but the tracks are just phenomenal, and they're on here for that very reason. And Kyalami, I've seen a lot of onboard footage of that. I've not had, and it's quite the circuit from what I have seen. And Donington Park as well. I did have a race, watch along with a race round there during the Porsche Cup, and yeah, it's such a fantastic track, and I think this could be one of the best ones yet.
Completely agree, and I have to say there's a couple of circuits that we mentioned in the season finale of season 3. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just saying, me and Kelsey, we know what we're talking about. Okay, anyway, we're jumping now into what was a 15-minute qualifying. 5 minutes of that has passed through while we've been waffling on about a brand new season, but can you blame us? It's a new season. It's very, very exciting stuff. 10 minutes left of it. Around a circuit like Silverstone, though, Kelsey, many people love this circuit. Don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant circuit, but the thing that we love so much about it is its flowing nature from one corner to the other, mid-speed corner, chucking the car through and just dancing it around this circuit. Unfortunately, though, a characteristic like that, as brilliant as it is to drive, doesn't really open the door for a lot of heavy braking zones, even in these GT cars, which tells me that qualifying is going to be a little bit more important than we might actually think.
Yeah, it certainly is. We saw the best example of that in the sprint races last season, where we had a lot of thrilling action for sure, and there was a lot of close driving between all of the drivers. Remember Jack Southfield's staunch defending up in the top up in the top parts of the race. And yeah, we didn't see much overtaking though. It was more drivers following closely, and we did have a couple of incidents as well. But it's going to be qualifying that really does set things up for the race. If you can get yourself up in those top spots in your respective championship, then you're going to have a much better time out there on the circuit. And I must say, Zach, one of my favourite things about a new season is seeing the liveries out on the circuit. If there's one thing I love more, just as much as racing and commenting on racing itself, it's seeing some striking liveries out there on the circuit. And that one on that Mercedes is quite the... it's quite lovely, that one, actually, isn't it?
I agree. It's very reminiscent of the Williams Esports Chill Blast livery, which is great. Awesome with the blue and the white and how it sort of gradients into each other. I love it. So, Stefan Hutter, nice one. And an interesting point, actually, that you bring up about liveries, because all the time, I have to say, in some cases, sim racers do it a lot better than real life do. Obviously, recently with BS Plus Turner and BS Competition, they actually ran a split livery. Half of it was designed by the real life designers. The other half was designed by those that designed the virtual BS Competition livery. They had a split down the middle and had the zebra stripes on the side. They raced that at the 12 Hours of Sebring on their BMW M4. So brilliant stuff. It's nice to see that crossover, obviously. But yeah, liveries are just awesome stuff. And honestly, there was actually a time I was just a nice analogy. There was a time I literally spent, well, me and the co-commentator, obviously, we spent a good half an hour just scrolling through the entire field worth of liveries, and I was like that one, go to the next one, that's a bit mid, and then go to the next one, oh, I like that one. And we literally spent half an hour of a 4-hour race just rating liveries because they just look cool. So yeah, awesome stuff. And well, we'll have to take a rating as we go through the race, go through the season, as to whose livery is your favorite. Obviously, those tuning in at home, don't hesitate to let us know. Keep us updated in the YouTube chat. Who do you think has the best livery? Who are you rooting for? I can see Twisty has obviously made the comment of saying Jamie Nuttall makes his comeback. There he is in that very striking Ferrari, of course. It looks beautiful. I think that is the new addition to ACC in terms of that Ferrari. Very different rear end, it must be said. But he's back, and as it stands, he's on provisional pole position. But Sam Fleety, Guillaume Hamling, and in all fairness, Millington, 1.5 tenths separate the top four, Kelsey. That is remarkable stuff. All well they did until Jamie Nuttall decided to go even quicker.
He's definitely thrown down the gauntlet for the other drivers out there on the circuit. And if anybody can sort of get themselves up into that top spot, it's the likes of Fleety, Hamling, Millington, Sir Smoggy, and Jack Southfield as well. Keep an eye on him. He tends to be quick in that Porsche around this circuit. So do keep an eye as Larson is making his way around the circuit at the moment. Paul Sims is doing a great job over down in the AMS at the moment. He's well up in the position for that group of cars at the moment as well, just looking down the timing sheets. But lots of drivers still out on the circuit, and actually 6 minutes, still a fair amount of time to go.
Yeah, in all fairness, that's still a good couple of laps. And fortunately, unlike other sims, ACC is a little bit more friendly in terms of qualifying, in that when the timer ticks 0, it's not just going to boot you out and set the grid. It does give you that opportunity that if you start your lap before the checker flag is waved, you get the opportunity to finish it, which is nice. Obviously, it means that sometimes we don't lose out a spectacle of a brilliant last lap, but it does, I guess, alleviate some tension, Kelsey.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it just makes it that gives you that chance, that one final run to just get a decent lap in, and that can be the difference between getting yourself, the position that you're in, or even upping yourself that little bit more. And I'm not sure how well the physics are in terms of how rubbered in the track gets on this game, but sim, I should say. I think James would castrate me for calling it a game, so I won't do it again. But I'm not sure how realistic it is, but the track could be more rubbered in, and the drivers can just get that little bit more out of the track, a little bit more out of the car, and just finding that lap time, it could be crucial, especially in the dying moments, because obviously, if you're the last to cross the line and everybody else has set your lap time and you go the fastest, no one's going to beat you.
Funnily enough, yeah, that's how it works. I have
Yeah.
to say, though, the Ferrari 296 GT3, obviously this car right here with Roberto Miglioni, it looks really good. I can't lie. The front end of it does look a little bit different. The main sort of body shape is relatively the same, but then you get to the rear end, and I think it looks beautiful. So let's hope it's actually quick and lives up to that. It looks, in all fairness, the front end of it looks very similar to the Ferrari LMDH prototype that they've been running in, I think it's either IMSA or WEC, one of the two. But it does look very similar. So the 296, nice addition, ACC, and it's always good that they're keeping up to date in the sim world. And as you talk, in all fairness, about track evolution, you can see in the top right of your screen, for those new to Assetto Corsa, you've got the weather forecast, you've got the track condition, the temperature, and then the wind. As you can see, under the column of track, it says optimum. That means it's the absolute pinnacle of the track that you can get. I think in ACC, you can get sort of fast, green, and slow. Obviously, green, there's no rubber. Slow, it's not great. Fast, there's a bit of rubber up down. And then optimum, the track is perfect. The temperature is brilliant. You're not going to overheat your tires. You're not going to put too much stress on them. The track is nice and rubbered in. You've got plenty of grip, but that's not to say that as the session progresses, more rubber gets laid down, and therefore maybe a little bit more grip towards the latter stages of the session, which we are into right now. Jamie Nuttall leads on his return after a couple of seasons sabbatical. Lost the championship very late on in season 1 to Samuel Brignara, but that's a tribute to a couple of mistakes and missing a couple of rounds as well. He's back for a comeback, and he's back to seize championship glory. Sam Fleety behind him, and Guillaume Hamling as well up into the mix, with Millington actually now making up the top 3 contingent of the top 3 in the field. But I have to say, as far as returns go, you know, Nuttall trying to brush off some cobwebs. He's not doing too bad of a job at that.
Yeah, I'd say those cobwebs are firmly brushed off for the time being. He's got a decent gap up ahead, and he's, you know, really just, like I say, throwing down the gauntlet, asserting dominance already out on the circuit, which is the best way to start off a season. And it'll be interesting to see if he can continue that through the race. Like I said, there's some strong competitors among that pro category. All of the drivers out here are fantastic, actually, and do tend to provide some great action. So watch Schattler, I think, ending a lap and taking a trip into the gravel. There's Sir Smoggy, champion of last season, of course. We watched some absolutely phenomenal drives from this man in the Mercedes, and it's certainly going to be one to watch.
Completely agree. I think this season is going to be brilliant. So Smokey is struggling a little bit in qualifying today. At the moment, obviously, he's quite a way off, actually, the time that he managed to put in last season's qualifying, which was a 57.670, which is not exactly where he would want to be at this point in time. So maybe struggling a little bit, but in terms of the championship of season number 3, particularly in the pros, we'll focus on the pros just for a second. So Smoggy Sam Fleety separated by 6 points. Dominic Ligno a little bit back in there, but he did struggle just a little bit. I have to say, looking at this field, looking at this strength across all 3 categories, we've got new faces, returning faces, and some pretty quick faces as well.
Yeah, we do, and I'm interested. I'm always interested to see what the newer drivers can do in terms of a new season as well, as I can sometimes really just change up the mix, and then you can't always count on your familiar favourites. Actually, Sam Fleety, 0.003 of a second separate him and Jamie Nuttall at the top of the timing tower at the moment. He's set down the gauntlet in that absolutely eye-catching car of pink and green. It almost looks like Patrick Starr. In terms of a livery design there, but that's an incredible gap. Why was it changed? Nuttall has just slammed that out of the water, so I think I should shut up, Zach, to be honest.
You're not Sam Fleety's friend, let's put it that way. Here's Jack Southfield, that's a new rendition to the TSRC livery, usually just going for sort of the black and the white, but now they've got those blue accents.
I like it.
I like it, yeah. Or is it a light green? I don't know.
That's more like a golf blue.
Yeah, I wrote half my GCSEs in a green pen thinking it was black, so we won't talk to me about colours, all right? I like it. I think it looks very, very nice. The number looks cool. Well, hopefully Jack Southfield can do quite well for his home Grand Prix. Through Woodcut, the final corner on this rendition of the circuit, across the line, up to third. He's the first driver to take the checker flag as qualifying draws to a close. Jamie Nuttall is on a lap, and that, to me, screams danger for those around him.
Yeah, Certainly does, and he's just going to drive even further ahead if he can. We're watching Samuel Chumley, he's making his way through at the moment. Can he get anywhere near that time toward the front? He's got about a second to find, so it's not looking overly likely for the 111 car at the moment. One of the only McLarens out on the field, I must say, as well. But yeah, Nuttall has got a firm grip on pole position for the time being, and there's not too many drivers out there who are overly close, who can try and get closer. We're keeping on Fleety, we're keeping on Hamling, but it's looking like it's going to go Jamie Nuttall's way on his return to the category.
Absolutely, and a 57.167, of course, does beat Dominic Aligna's time of last season of a 157.237, and that's obviously after a few seasons in a brand new car, and obviously without the previous first sprint race as a bit of practice before the qualifying session. So Jamie Nuttall across the line, is he going to improve? Can he break the 57 mark? Yes, he can. A 156.945 for our returning runner-up for the TSRC PC GT3 Series season number 4. Scott Ticehurst will become one of the latter people to cross the line in a blue Ferrari. I've got to say, no thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's against the grain, isn't it? You don't really see blue Ferraris, but I like a bit of going against convention. And to just add to the point, that Ferrari, that new one, it does look very mean, doesn't it? It looks like it means business. It's a little bit the same with the new Porsche as well. I think that's out there on the grid as well, and that does also looks like it means business. But lots of people sporting the Ferrari, it seems, and I think that's going to be your qualifying, Zach.
It is indeed. 15 minutes then, and Jamie Nuttall takes all 3 purple sectors in his brand new Ferrari 296 GT3 car. A 156.945 sees him 6.5 tenths of a second clear of Sam Fleety, who will join him on the front row. It's all Porsches for the remainder of the top 2, with Southfield and Millington 3 and 4. Then comes Guillaume Hamling to round off your top 5. Samuel Chumley will keep him for company on row 3. Then comes Volodya and Ticehurst, row 4. So Smogy, your reigning pro champion, in P9. Then comes Angel, rounding off your top 10. Sims and Wright, the row number 6. Eric Larson and Felix Chef, 13th, 14th. Marie Stryker rounds off the top 15 with Morton, Stick, Violetto, Hutter and Buring in the top 20. Obviously, we'll look at the rest as they scroll through. A very, very large grid, it must be said. That's only half of them, scrolling all the way down to Borrielli in P41. A lot of Italians, it must be said, on this field. And, well, let's hope they can contend. 2 minutes until race the formation lap starts to get away. Seeing Thomas Mikel in the YouTube chat, of course. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, cheering on Angel, who at the moment, obviously, was sat quite hefty, I think, towards the back end of the top 10 in terms of, actually, exactly, bang on P10 for Angel. So, obviously, welcome to all our people from France in the YouTube chat. It's lovely to see you. People from all around the world. Thank you for joining us here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Myself, Zach Sweeney, Kelsey Gill alongside me. And I have to say, this race is hopefully not going to be Nuttall running away with things.
Hopefully not. Hopefully the other members of the top 5 or top 6 can get in there and really challenge him, put on the pressure, get in his mirrors and just try and send some moves. But like we said before, Zach, Silverstone might not offer as many opportunities to overtake as we would like, but there's definitely plenty of chance for some close racing. And it's such a colourful grid, isn't it? It's so refreshing to see so many different sorts of approaches to a livery on the grid, and it's a feast for the eyes, as I want to sort of say it. It's so many different ones that sort of pop out. And is Marie Stryker racing tonight? I'm hoping he is, because I'm hoping he's got a livery, a striking livery. Yes, another one. That's gonna be a running thing for me, I think.
He's P15.
P15. There we go. Look, I'll be keeping an eye on that Honda there a little bit further back, but we're going to get ready for a formation lap, and I'm excited.
I am too. I hope everyone at home is excited as well, by the way, because obviously this is my 4th season now for the TSRC. They can't seem to get rid of me, no matter how hard Sharpie tries. He just can't quite pry me away. I love coming here. I think the format is brilliant, and obviously Kelsey Gill's coming in with me for the duration of last season. Now for this season, he's got a bit more familiar, found his foot in terms of JP broadcasting, and well, there we go. Great for the formation. Jamie Nuttall will lead them round the Silverstone circuit. 3.66 miles is the Grand Prix circuit here in Silverstone. It's a long formation lap. How important is it going to be though, Kelsey?
Vital. It sets the drivers up for what's to come. It gets those nerves back down. It sort of settles things, gives the drivers a chance to warm the car up, warm up the tyres, get everything into that optimal window, get a feel for everything. And like I've said, just to settle down and get ready, get into that headspace. They've got 40 minutes of on-track action, and they've got to be able to see it through all the way to the end with minimal mistakes. You cannot let complacency come in any stage of the race, and in this part of the race, just before we go green, this is where it's most important, and that'll be what is going through all of the drivers' heads. Most of all, Jamie Nuttall here, our leader, as we follow along on this sort of chase cam, I suppose. But it's going to be quite interesting.
Absolutely. Completely agree. I mean, the formation lap is the final opportunity before the visors are down and you become a different animal. I have to say, you know, on the run to the grids, on the formation lap, throughout the first lap even, your heart rate is through the roof. Your body is pumping adrenaline everywhere because yes, it's sim racing, right? And yes, it's on the virtual world, but you still trigger that fight or flight instinct in your brain because obviously it means a lot. The tensions are high. It's a competition, and your body knows that, and it's just pumping it and pumping it. Your heart rate is going. You're almost, in some cases, actually short of breath. It's quite a panicking situation to be in. It's quite easy to get overwhelmed from sort of that drive from your body in terms of just pumping it full of this hormone called adrenaline that for some reason just numbs everything in your body and puts you into this fight or flight mode. How easier is it, I guess, to sort of fall victim to that, and how do you cope with the pressure of those tensions?
You just got to kind of get your head down and just go with it. You've just got to use it. You've got to become one with the piece of machinery that you're hurling around corners at untold speeds, and that's the most important part. And I mean, I've raced plenty of times myself and felt that same adrenaline, and there's been a few occasions as well when I've been commentating on races and I've felt that adrenaline as the action has been going. It's sort of a shared kind of emotion, and I think what some people who are sort of outside of the world of motorsport seem to not understand is that's where a lot of the excitement for the sport comes from. It's that shared feeling of adrenaline and excitement when cars are going at, you know, hundreds of miles per hour alongside one another and absolutely close, like sort of, you know, to the very sort of skin of your teeth racing. That's where it comes down, and that's what the drivers are managing behind the wheel. This excitement, this adrenaline, all these emotions going through, and all the while you're operating at speeds that are somewhat inhuman, I suppose. And it doesn't matter which category you're in. You're going fast. You're operating these vehicles at the peak of their performance, and that's what they're going through, and that's what they've got to manage.
Well, who's going to manage it best is the question that will soon be answered. Through Luffield, of course, on the formation lap. Rolling starts in ACC and in GT3 racing. 40 minutes on the clock. It's a new era for both ACC, for GT racing, and for the TSRC PC GT3 series. Season number 4 about to get itself underway. Jamie Nuttall, Sam Fleety, your front row. Jack Southfield and Millington just in behind 3 and 4. Who is going to reign victorious today? New cars, new season of racing. We're about to get ourselves going green. Nuttall controls the pace as they run their way in towards Copse Corner for the first time. Who is going to get the jump? When is Nuttall going to go? He's in control. And it's going to be a case of who puts their foot to the floor first. The TSRC PC GT3 Series season number 4 is underway. And it's a good start from Sam Fleet. In all fairness, he's got the tyres up to temperature and already saws his way around the outside of Copse Corner, too wide of the background as well, as Jack Southfield tries to thwart the attack from the 86 machine of Millington. Single file as they run their way through Maggots and Beckett's. Jamie Nuttall, unfortunately, not off to the best of starts here for season number 4, but a long, long way left to go.
No, he's been absolutely robbed on the outside going in towards Copse Corner, and it's been quite the electric start from Sam Fleety as they head down towards Stowe Corner now. But Nuttall's on the attack already. We take a little look back through the field at the moment as well as they all come through single file. Fairly clean start from everybody on the grid at the moment. And the best being from our leader, Sam Fleety, at the moment. There goes Elias Troyer making his way through at the moment. Nuttall full losing more places. There's McGowan's in the lead now. I think that's a mistake there, to be honest, but it's nose to bumper for the three of them. It's Fleety, Nuttall and Millington.
It is indeed. Fleety under pressure. Nose to tail, all three of them. This is exactly the racing you want to see, and a crucial overtake from Sam Fleety, considering Jamie Nuttall's raw pace. In towards Village, of course, usually turn number 3 is towards the back end of the circuit on this layout. Just in the background, running through the loop. One of the most important circuits on, corners on the circuit, I should say. And Jamie Nuttall, he's got to get that pace. That Ferrari has to be absolutely rapid in a straight line. He's already had a couple of goes. They run their way through the Wellington Straight in towards Brooklands to round off lap number 1. No changes from Jamie Nuttall. How important do you think that first lap overtake from Fleety is going to be for the overall picture of this race? Because now Jamie Nuttall, he's got a lot of work to do in order to claw back some time.
Well, there's Maurice Stryker, a very similar livery to last year. But yeah, to go on to your point, Zach, yes, it's going to be very important. We've talked about this a lot throughout the session already, that overtaking isn't going to be the easiest around here. And so Fleety has said, okay, I'm going to get myself into track position then. I've started P2. I've got my way up into the P1 now on the first lap as well. And I'm going to now try and hold this position. That's going to be what's important. But remember, we have a mandatory pit stop in this race as well. So that's going to play an effect as well. Who picks tyres, who doesn't pick tyres, and who loses time and who gains time. Oh, so close to contact through that section there as well. And he's got to try and keep an eye on the cars behind him. There's Larson as he gets that close to Stryker.
Absolutely. This is enthralling stuff, and it will be for the next 37 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. Of course, really looking forward to seeing how the rest of this race pans out. 40 cars, or 41 cars I should say, actually took to the grid today. How many people are going to stay on track? Not very many. Jamie Nuttall has spun round. That's Josh Millington as well in that pink Porsche. Bit of a tap as well. Jamie Nuttall, what seemed to be a perfectly poised race for him, has now almost ended in calamity. He's down to 14th. Hanging on in the balance, maybe trying to scrape his way back into 15th. Oh my god, more contact! Straight into the barrier through the Hamilton Straight. Now finds himself side by side with the Lamborghini, I think, of Chef. Jamie Nuttall, what do you say to that? How does he react to that? It's carnage, it's chaos, it's calamity, more cars off. Oh, the Mercedes spins as well.
The one way you react to that is as hard as it is, you've just got to stay calm. There's more and more action going through. The midfield is absolutely teeming with battles all the way down. And oh, there's more incidents. There's more cars in the grass. It's absolutely kicking off here in these early laps.
It really is. And, wow, yeah. What a way to start off Season 4, guys. This is brilliant. Just in front of our camp, you've got Schattler and Buring running side by side. Or is that Morandi into the mix as well? We don't know, because ACC loves commentators and really wants us to have an easy job. No, it's sarcasm. They do not. Cheers, kudos. Anyway, moving on very swiftly, because we've got a lot of racing action to try and dissect. Obviously, Fleety still leads. This time, Jake Southwood found himself up into second place, which is interesting. Fair play to the little ginger from the UK. We follow on with Gerhard Alkamp, the South African that takes to the field. The 26 overall, and running quite well in terms of his respective silver class. Marco Violetto, though, the Italian, the 93 machine, he's looking pretty good, it must be said. Obviously, in his silver-plated 93 Ferrari. You know, he's got a bit of a buff. He's got Millington, Morton, Larson and Hooter back to Elias Troyer for company. In terms of the overall dynamic of this race, in terms of the 3 races we've got going on, Violetto's actually not doing too bad. It's side by side in behind Eric Larson and Morton.
Yeah, I mean, this little scrap is not for position, but it's all the important anyway at the moment. But yes, doing well with Violetto in the number 93 machine. He's got a fair few cars in between himself and the last try, so that's a great start there. Over in the AMS, we've got Paul Sims and Nick Stick, the name that I wanted to be Nick Stick, and it was actually Nick Stick, which is incredible. That is just so satisfying to me, but I'll get back to my point of these two are going to be fighting their way for the lead of the AMS at the moment. 5/10 separate them. We'll keep an eye on that battle as it unfolds.
Absolutely. Not separated by much at all, as Kelsey mentioned. A lot of interesting racing to sink our teeth into. It's Fleety and Southfield, separated by just about 1.1 seconds last time they crossed through.
Oh,
There's the South African of Alcam.
oh,
There's even more carnage just in front of him. The two Ferraris, Savalenci and one of the Porsches, maybe Gamea. Again, we don't know. That is a lovely Ferrari. Love the red. Here is another one. Scarcelli now fighting with Beering for what is fourth place at the moment in the silver category. Still hard fighting, of course. Still 33.5 minutes left to go of this round number 1. And already we've had almost a season's worth of action.
yeah, we really have, and we've only been racing for what 7 minutes or so, not even that at the moment. It's been absolutely fantastic. You've come out of this thinking, gosh, what a finale this is, and it's only the first round at the moment. But at that point, I think he was the fastest man on track. I think he still is at the moment, but that's Jack Southfield at the minute. That might have changed over the time. I remember making a mental note of that, but we'll see. My powers haven't updated at the moment, but yeah, Jack Southfield's found himself in a great place after a huge incident, and just sort of looking down the list at the moment, where have they ended up? Millington's P14 at the moment, as Larson's trying to make his way past. I think is that Violetto in the 93 car? I think so. And where is Nuttall at the moment as well? He is P12, so big drops of the two of them.
Yeah, not fantastic, let's put it that way, in the bluntest way. Jamie Nuttall at the moment separates the two AM leaders of Sims and Stick. He's trying to make his way through on his fellow Ferrari. No way through into Village, however, opts to go to the outside. That's brave, that's bold. Obviously, it's a two-class separation between the pair of them. Once again, trying to switch back and go for the up and under through the loop. Bit of contact to the rear end of the AM leader, Jamie Nuttall. I think maybe driving... Is it inexperience? Is it frustration? Is it desperation? What's going on here in terms of the aggression that we're seeing from Nuttall?
I think the expression of driving in anger comes to mind here, Zach, and I think it's composed anger, but you can tell with just sort of how sort of, I wouldn't say desperate, but more sort of how hungry he is behind the wheel, sort of looking for those places, making that slight bit of contact there as well. There's a bit of a battle going on behind him as well. I think that's Sims and Stick going wheel to wheel at the moment, a bit behind them. But oh, and we've got a replay there. We didn't see what happened, but that's just the aftermath of the crash at the minute. But yeah, that's what sent these guys plummeting down the order. And Nuttall, the lead of the two, Millington P14 at this moment in time, and he'll be making short work of Striker soon, I'd expect. He's at 900s behind.
He is indeed, and well, we'll soon find out. Also, Sims and Stick not too far separated from each other. The 42 and the 38 might have a dispute to settle. They've settled in between Nick Stick and obviously Paul Sims. Actually, that's a bit of a difference from where the German was the moment ago to where he's showing up on the timing sheets. Obviously, they refreshed. The Porsche tries to hang on relative to Morton. Also got Elias Troyer trying to work his way through also, as it's just carnage and chaos. Only 3 wide into the Vale chicane. Nick Stick tries to stick his feet into the ground, anchor himself through, outside line, running through the final part, and well, as soon as you're out there, it's pretty much a freight train. Everyone just says, yeah, cool, inside, this is mine, cool, see you mate, and that's job done. And unfortunately for Nick Stick, he's found himself all the way down to P20.
Yeah, it's you run wide at club corner and that's it. You're going to be people are going to be just diving up your inside. You saw that with in Silverstone last year at Formula One, an amazing overtake from Lewis Hamilton. But yeah, it's just the nature of that corner, really. Is Elias Troyer going side by side with the BMW there, making a decent move, not for points, of course. Oh, and there's been a bit of contact there. That goes. There's Morton spun off into the barrier there. I think he's just managed to keep it from huge impact, but he's not going to be too happy with that one.
All it takes is a slight tap and you are in trouble. Here is Vyacheslav Vlodge, obviously the relative Estonian. Oh, okay, awesome. He's starting off his Season 4 campaign. We always like to take a look at how Slav is doing, whether it be his Tiger liveried Mercedes, which you unfortunately didn't get to see, whether it's him going for some awesome moves, or whether it's him doing some Tokyo drift through Cobb's Corner. Fair play for Volodya, obviously. Stony, quite cold country, maybe a bit of snow as well. Maybe he's got a bit of practice in terms of his quick hands. However, Scott Ticehurst in the 352 blue Ferrari is hot on his heels, and well, could be trying to find an avenue through. We actually spoke about tyre strategy and things, and how difficult Silverstone is on the tyres due to the quite a heavy demand on the brakes, on the tyres, and how much actually the car is going through quite a high load of lateral G-forces. A slide like that and increasing the tyre temperatures surely is going to have quite a negative knock-on effect in the sense that he hasn't really got an opportunity to allow the tyres to cool.
Yeah, I mean, he must have known we were watching when he made that slide there, just to look cool. We get some cool points there for sure. But yeah, this track is going to eat away at the tyres. It's such a high demand. There's so many fast corners, and it takes a lot out of the cars just to keep them sort of planted on the ground there. Zampieri on the hunt at the moment. He's got, I'm not even going to try pronouncing that name in fear of getting it wrong, but it's the 444 Ferrari in front of him at the moment. He's close to the back of it for now, but he's not got any sort of window to attack at the moment.
And this is why, Kelsey, you practice your pronunciations before you go live. I didn't. I'm just putting out that you should. Anyway, Salvanecci is what I'm going with.
Salvanecci, that sounds right.
It sounds Italian, right? You know, the flamboyance. Yeah, awesome. Very stereotypical, but I'm sure it's a compliment, actually. You know, flamboyant. It's what the Italians do. Their supercars, their food, their accents. Love Italians, and it's nice that we've got quite a heavy Italian contingent. Obviously, we had Davide Massi, Giuseppe Zampieri, obviously, over the course of last season. It seems they've got some of their friends coming to join us for season number 4. Here's Jamie Nuttall trying to tick off yet another car in his pursuit for, even this early in the season, for Nuttall, who obviously is wanting to come back and impress. It must be more of damage limitation, even though it's only round 1.
Yeah, for sure, and it's going to be it's going to be quite vital to get himself back up there as well. And I think the standard is to drop the lowest round, so this won't be too damaging to him later down the line. And you've got to sort of have that in mind when you're going through the championship as well. But again, you can see him just making that light contact there with James Wright, and it's again that you could tell by the body language of the car. That's what he's driving with. He's driving with that incident in mind. He knows he's got the pace, but it's no good if you end up making yourself slower and getting yourself into more incidents. And somehow Millington has crept up behind him. Look.
He has indeed. So impressive pace from Josh Millington, of course. He was 4th place on the grid today alongside Jack Southfield. Unfortunately, him and Jamie had a little bit of tussle down a Vale, which saw both of them have a bit of a spin. Nuttall did have the advantage for quite some time, but Millington just drove back onto the back of him. You might be seeing a little bit of a white box in the middle between the in-game time and obviously the time left to go in the race. Pit window is open. 15 minutes, the center 15 minutes of this race. Drivers can come in. They have to take to the pit lane. They have to top up some fuel. Tyres are optional though, which is going to be quite interesting. You lose about 5 or so seconds changing some tyres, but do you gain said 5 seconds back? We will obviously soon find out. Because obviously me and Kelsey aren't exactly well versed in terms of ACC strategy, particularly for these guys in season number 4. Bit of a different dynamic, new physics and stuff with recent updates, obviously. So maybe we could see some difference in said strategy. What I do remember was Jack Southfield last season at Spa tried the no tyres, didn't quite manage to work out for him, but he gave it a good go. It was a good effort. It might work. That division is what we like to see, and it's what we could see as Jamie Nuttall into the pit lane relatively early, so maybe just trying to get some clear laps under his belt.
Yeah, get some clear air, sort of get in there early and maybe try and take a moment to just sort of recatch yourself and sort of calm down and after that incident. But it's going to be vital, I think, to just get a bit of that clear air and sort of just put the laps back in, get back in the zone, and be able to turn that sort of frustration into something useful where you can sort of get the pace out of the car and get a bit more as well. And I've just been taking a glance over the gap. Oh, stop go. Is it? Oh, Nuttall, what have you done?
Sped into the pit lane is the only viable explanation for that, whether it be not stopping in time or disabling the pit limiter too early. Either way, that's race ruined. Also for Ghiardi as well, for P37. Also Chisco as well in the 97 Porsche. He's 5 laps down, but 3 drivers with a stop-go 30. That means they have to re-enter the pit lane, stop in their pit box for 30 seconds, and then off they go. Silverstone in of itself is a long and slow pit lane, so to add 30 seconds on top of that is tough. So that's Jamie Nuttall's race almost over. So he's obviously counting on round 1 to be his drop round, which is great. Obviously, drop rounds are fantastic and everything, but it does add some pressure onto Nuttall's shoulders in the sense that now he's got no drop round for him to fall back on. Millington into the pit lane. You know, it's not just a case of Nuttall's got a P6 in the bank that he can fall back on if he has a poor round. That's it. You cannot make a mistake for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's it, and that just adds to the pressure, really, of just, you know, being that consistent throughout the rest of the time you're going through the season. And it's just what he needed, I think, to start it off. But I think, you know, a driver like him, just seeing him race today, I think it's something he'll shake off as well. As we see Borelli and Alcamp, I think, going side by side, making their way through. That was a decent little pass from the Aston Martin as they make their way through the exit of Luffield.
Indeed so. A couple of pit stops to note. Jack Southfield ran his way through the pit lane also. Are we seeing many cars take up onto the Jacks? Are many people changing tyres? I guess in a 40-minute race, Kelsey, you don't really have a lot of time to actually see the strategy develop. Obviously, in terms of endurance racing, you've got the whole 12, 4, 6, 12, 24, whatever, 1,000-mile race to see the strategy develop. In a 40-minute race, though, you don't really see that as much because you've not necessarily got enough time to see the results extrapolate over a long distance of time. Over the course of the first stint, you've done the tyres there, you've then pitted, fresh tyres on, you lose 5 seconds. You don't really then have the time to use the tyres to their full effect because then the race is over.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, that's what the pit stops are going to come down to a lot of the time, is tyres or no tyres. Is the advantage of fresh tyres really worth losing that 5 seconds or so in the pit lane to have them changed? And is the effect going to be great enough? I think it's something you really have to think about. And it's just another layer on the many layers of what goes into motorsport. And, you know, it's the stuff you don't see, really, that has some of the biggest impacts on the racing.
For sure, it's the small things like speeding in the pit lane that can really change the dynamics. So Smokey, at the moment, obviously our racing champion, reigning racing champion of the TSRC. For those wondering, how do you keep up with who's coming to the pit lane and who's not? Well, look left, just to the right of their driver number on the left-hand side of your screen on the timing tower. You'll see a little orange box with a white number 1 in it. That means they owe us a mandatory pit stop. P19 looks at Jack Southfield. It's got a nice green box there. That means he's ticked all the boxes. He's done. He does not need to worry about the pit lane for the rest of the race. So if you're trying to keep up with who's where and what could happen after the pit stop sequence, have a look there and see what could change. It's a pleasure to have you along. Obviously, in the YouTube chat for JP Broadcasting, can see Phil, obviously, in Thomas. We've got Twisty as well, we saw, and obviously James Parfit to the YouTube chat also. It's a pleasure to have you on the network, and we always find a home here for JP Broadcasting. So if this is your first stream and you're joining us for the first time, like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications because you will not miss a thing when it comes to sim racing. You've got touring cars, GTs, single-seaters, endurances, sprints, touring cars, whatever tickles your fancy, there's something here for you. NASCARs for those into the oval side of things, radicals, whatever you want, there's something here and you will enjoy yourself. And also an opportunity for, like Kelsey, for you to step yourself out into outside your comfort zone in some cases, you know, maybe trying a different series or style of racing and find yourself actually enjoy it and say, you know what, this is something for me. As we follow along with this fight, Violetto versus Stefan Hutter in the Ferrari versus the Mercedes. We take down towards halfway in this race. Already we've seen quite a massive shift in terms of the start of the race to now.
Yeah, we have, and the pit window is just going to make that even more interesting, as well as our leaders are both now into the pits. That's Sam Fleety and Hamling in the pits as well. I think Jack Southfield will keep an eye on where he emerges among the group. He was catching up to Sam Fleety before the pit stops as well. I noticed he was about 7/10 behind him, as opposed to around a second when it was in the race at the moment. But we'll see where he emerges on this time tower. It's not updating thus far. Still in pit, so it's 50 at the minute. Where are you going to come out?
Race against time really more than anything, and all our eager eyes will be pointed over there. Apologies for some technical difficulties. Sometimes things don't like to go our way. Hopefully you're all listening along and we're still audible. We understandable. Obviously, apologies. There's nothing really we can do. Sometimes these things happen, and I'm trying to work enough at all, and we're working very hard to are resolved, and hopefully they will be resolved as soon as possible. Sam Fleety though, he's 6, and Jack Southfield was nowhere to be seen.
I think he took tyres, Zach. I think Southfield's taken some tyres. That's the only explanation to me as to why Jack Southfield's in P13 and Sam Fleet's in P. That is a... It's an interesting call. Will it be worth it? Oh no, it's updated now. Actually, he is 2.7 seconds down the road from Fleety, so it is all back up to date at the moment, and it's as they were. But Southfield has lost out on some time though.
He has indeed, and obviously this is a battle that we will be keeping up with over the course of the next 80 minutes. Unfortunately, due to said technical difficulties, we're just going to step aside for a minute, get these things sorted out. Do not go anywhere. The TSRC PC GT3 Series, the season opener of Season 4, will be back very shortly. We're back then, and hopefully the issues are sorted. Welcome along, everyone.